Hey guys, it's Greg Jones for Engine Builder. We are in Newport Richey, Florida today. We're going to be checking out Fast Forward Race Engines here behind me. We're going to meet with Joe and Gina Irwin. These guys are the shop owners here. And these guys do a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to showcase everything that they do. And if you guys have been paying attention to our feed lately, they also won our Engine of the Year last year in 2023 with Brett LaSala's 5-liter Coyote engine. So these guys really do some top level stuff. So enough of me talking, let's go inside and check out the shop. Come on. All right, guys, so we are inside Fast Forward Race Engines now, and I'm joined by Joe Irwin, shop owner.
How are you?
Joe, yeah, appreciate you guys having us in, and it's good to see you again since the PRI show a couple months ago.
Yeah.
My first time being here in person, but I know, we've done stuff over the last couple of years, and you guys even did an Instagram takeover back a little while ago where you showcased the shop.
Yeah, that was fun.
But today we got a couple professional video folks with us, so looking forward to showcasing what you guys do here. Before we start walking around and showcasing all that, tell the folks a little bit of background about yourself and the shop and a little bit about what you guys do.
Well, we've been doing it for about 20 years now, it seems, forever, I guess you could say. Back in the day, we would do a lot of heads-up drag race engines, and at some point we started to do some production stuff, all of the same kind of platforms, and it really started to run, and we really could perfect it, from that point. So we started doing the Coyotes and some V10s and, these GTR engines and Supras and stuff. And really that allowed us to refine them to the best of our abilities, So that's what we do now,
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I mentioned before we walked in that, you guys do a lot of stuff with Brett LaSala and the Coyote platform that he's running.
Sure.
And you got our Engine of the Year trophy proudly displayed up there.
We do, yeah.
Love to see that.
Oh yeah, that was meant a lot to us. You guys putting that stuff on. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, definitely a well-deserved honor for you guys. So.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for that.
And currently it's sick week right now for anyone watching back. We're down here for sick week, and Brett's off to a great start again.
Yeah.
So we're really kind of upping the bar even from last year. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're constantly trying to evolve that deal. We take it apart, we learn from it, we try to make it better, and each step of the way we try to improve, so that's the results of it, right? What you're seeing. So you'll never see us make big jumps, you'll always see us make small refined moves, and, obviously that's a testament of it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Joe, I'm going to let you take over here and kind of lead the way, and I'll ask some stuff as we go along.
All right. Well, we're going to give you a little tour of the shop first. We'll run you through the machine shop, give you a little bit of idea of what we do here, and then we'll finish off in the assembly room. So come on, let's check it out.
So, Joe, how many square feet do you guys have here?
Currently, we're about 4,500 square foot.
Okay.
We have a storage unit out front that we put like all the shipping crates in and stuff like that. Every engine has a crate, so they've got to go somewhere. So we put that out front. We try to keep it as organized as we can, so it's as efficient as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Jobs come in, and then they come over here to the staging area. This area here is where these are all jobs that are getting ready to get started. This is some dart blocks and stuff like that. These are some V10 engines here.
Nice.
Cylinder heads that are on the shelf. Everything's kind of, this is some more V10 stuff that's over here.
Yeah.
This is our teardown area.
Okay.
Dick runs our teardown department.
Hey, Nick.
Everything we do is by hand here. No abrasives. We don't use any kind of abrasives. So it's a little bit more labor intensive, but we don't induce any kind of foreign materials. You don't introduce that. So this is where they get torn down. This is where they get pre-cleaned. Final clean, obviously we do all the final cleaning by hand as well. These are blocks that are ready to get. This is like Cooper's block, his little 6-cylinder super engine. So there's a couple getting ready to go into the spray washer.
Yeah.
To get final clean there.
Awesome.
So then we'll move over here This section over here is a CNC area. So this is where
Yeah.
we bore all the blocks for sleeves. We do all the final machine works to the blocks, where we'll deck them, we'll O-ring them, we'll bore the cylinders to the correct amount, so we can hone them at that point. We do line bore in this machine for the 2Js. We'll do the billet caps with that as well.
Okay.
All of our tooling, boring tooling, stays for that particular task. So we don't have boring bars that we run out the size or anything like that. So if we're doing sleeves for a Coyote program, like that boring bar stays that size. So
Gotcha.
there's no ever issues or problems.
Yeah.
All of our sleeves are custom sized to us. So.
Cool.
It's never really a problem,
And how long have you guys had the Blockmaster?
We've had this for 3 years,
Okay.
From TNS. It's been fantastic. They built this specifically for us for the tasks that we do, right? We don't use this machine for anything other than the block work, So we're not trying to surface a head in it or port a head or do anything like that. It's specifically, for its task,
Yeah.
Does a great job too.
Awesome. Yeah,
Fantastic.
glad to hear that.
So here's some V10 stuff. These are sleeved. You're getting ready to be sleeved. So we step deck these engines. So this is decked, bored, circle interpolated for the flange. So there's a few of those. Here's a few more getting ready done. These are things, blocks that are ready to get bored for sleeves.
Okay. Yeah.
And then a couple little project stuff, test blocks.
Yeah.
If we're getting ready to do a project, some of those have holes in them and this and that,
Now, Joe, how many engines will you guys get through, a week, a month, a year? What's kind of your
right now
production?
on average we're doing around 3.5 a week.
Okay.
Yep, that's about the most we could do right now.
All right. So you guys end up at the end of the year somewhere in that 150 to 200
That's correct.
range? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And some of those are short blocks. Sometimes we'll do 4 short blocks a week. If we're on to short blocks. If it's long block stuff, maybe 2 long blocks and a short block. It just depends,
Right.
kind of how it goes. Everything we do here is in batch runs. So you'll never see us run a 2J, a Coyote, and then a V10, right? It's always in multiples through the machines at one time, so the equipment's all set up for it.
Yeah. A little bit more efficient for sure.
A little bit more efficient. And then when they go into the assembly room, the guys are set up, with that mentality of this is what we're working on, so it's a little bit easier. Seem like we have less, problems doing it that way, for sure.
Very cool.
So this is some more. These are some that are, these are all machined already for sleeves. They're just going to get deburred and get prepped out.
Yeah, you guys got a nice billet piece here.
A billet one that we're doing for a no-time guy. It's going to be a drag race guy, 8th mile drag race guy.
Nice.
A couple more GT500s. This is our welding area back here.
Okay.
Obviously, any kind of repair or anything like that, that's where we do it, back in that corner there.
Nice.
So this whole center section here is designed to do shafts. So all the camshafts, all the crankshafts, connecting rods, pin fitting the pistons, anything to do with that gets done right in this area here. We obviously use the sun and rod hone here.
Yep.
The majority of it's really for pin fitting. That's the majority of what we do. We make our bob weights here. This cleaners for final cleaning the crankshafts. It only gets used just for the rotating assemblies for final clean. Surface grinder, sometimes for, doing side clearance on rods or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
nice.
This side obviously is for the crankshaft. We mainly use the bridge port for, machining for the counterweights for Mallory.
Yep.
Pre-drill, drill, ream. So every tooling's in its area. So the guys don't have to go and look in different spots,
Yep.
So I actually made this a few years ago for installing Mallory. So you slide the counterweight on it, boom, presses the Mallory in. So you're not knocking Mallory in.
Nice.
The old school way. So that works really good.
Yeah.
The lathe, we use this for turning the Mallory, down to length, and polishing, the crankshafts, the journals. So we have different belts for different finishes and whatnot. If it's a used crank or if it's a new crank, do we have to remove any material or not? Very little material removal at all, gets done. So, and
Very
then the DCB 2000 or, you know, balancer. So
Nice.
It does a great job for us. We've had over the years we've had its struggles, but you know we've worked through that, and it does a great job for us now. So
Very cool.
This will be where we do all of our cylinder head work. Obviously VGS 20, you know, form seat cutters, you know, the industry kind of standard nowadays, you know. So we use this for doing all of our valve seat work.
Okay.
Storm Volcom right here. This was an old wet machine converted to CBN PCD.
Okay.
So we really use this now for surface and heads. Everything block work wise gets done in the, you know, TNS steel.
Yep.
So, you know, this is really just for surface and heads nowadays.
Okay.
You know, so here's some cylinder heads that are getting ready to get worked on or in the process currently. Some, you know, Lamborghinis, some GTR heads, all kinds of stuff. These are camshafts that are rather checked for straightness already, and then we'll also check them in the housing bores as well, you know.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
When it comes to certain components like a cam or crank or things like that, do you guys use, you know, specific manufacturers, or do you jump around based on what's available or based on a customer's preference?
Well, we only use what we have validated, right? Mm-hmm. So, like the V10 stuff, even the Coyote platforms, we use the factory camshafts for a lot of them. We've found that they're very stable. You know, they work really good. Very few failures happen in those, you know, and in their overhead cam stuff. So you can get away with that. On the Coyotes, when we start to get into something like what Brett has, or even under that, you know, we'll go to a comp cam that's custom ground for us. Yep. The Coyotes have a couple different variations of cylinder heads, so you got to be careful with the base circle of the cam. You know, which head you have dictates what base circle you get. You know, but yeah, the comp stuff's been pretty good for us as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, very good.
So,
nice.
Yep, cylinder head stuff, an old valve grinder. We've converted that over to a collet, you know, instead of a chuck jaw, and it works great. I've had that thing for my whole life, 25 years, you know, or
nice.
30 years, you know. I've been
doing its thing.
I've been using that, yeah. So I threaten to get rid of it all the time, but I probably never will. It's like this old Sun and Hone here. I've had this, you know, again for 20 years just about, you know. And it works great. So what we use this hone for is honing the blocks prior to putting the sleeves in them.
Okay.
The rounder we can get that bore, the rounder the sleeve will stay, the rounder the ID of the bore will stay, you know, and that's pretty crucial when you're talking about sleeving things.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we'll use that for sizing it and also getting it exactly on size and getting this finish as smooth as we possibly can. We bore them with a PCD insert, but really honing them to get it even the RA as fine as we possibly can, you know, and the valleys as fine to get as much surface contact as we can. So yeah, that's why we do it that way, you know. Now
you said that you're doing that before you put the sleeve in too.
Before we put the sleeves in. Okay. So like this engine here, this block here has been bored for sleeves, and then we'll batch the sleeves because they're all different sizes. So we'll get 10 of them as close to size as we possibly can, and then we'll go ahead and hone this. This will have an extra thou to 2 thou of material left in it, and then we'll go ahead and hone that block to get the exact amount of press that we're looking for whatever block it is. Some we run more, some we run less, you know? Yeah. So, so then we'll hone it and then we'll install the sleeves in that.
And you guys got a bunch of different
torque plates. Yep,
yeah.
For whatever we're using, you know, they'll get plates put on them. There's some O-ringing plates in there, you know. Sometimes we'll O-ring the heads by hand, you know.
Now, and are you guys always torque plate honing when you do that?
We always do, yep. We always use some kind of torque plate. Try to use the gasket that we're going to use, you know. Some engines will use the studs, you know. Some will use just a fastener. It just kind of depends on what it is, you know. Yeah. But yeah, we always try to simulate as close as we possibly can. And we found some engines it moves a lot, some it doesn't, you know. It just depends on what you're working on, you know. Yeah. So.
Very cool.
But yeah, that works pretty good. So that's really what we use this for. And then the SB15 from Sunnin, obviously we're a Sunnin shop, you know. We use this with all the diamond abrasives to finish the bores. You know, obviously it's a little bit more accurate for us. It's a little bit more consistent this way. Right. Every bore we use the profilometer on, so we have a sheet with a printout for, you know, every bore finish, you know, so we could keep a record of that. Yeah. So that works really good. So.
Excellent.
Yep. And then on this side here, we do line hone work. Jared here, Jared, this is Greg. Jared.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Jared does all of the finish work here on the block. So he does all the hone work on all the line hone work. This is a 2J we're doing billet main caps on here now. So he's finishing the mains on those.
Okay.
And then he'll finish the bores on it, deburr it all, and it'll be ready to go over to final clean.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Typical, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There. Shipping and receiving, these are jobs going out. This is a short block going out to Lund. This is another one that's getting ready to get shipped out to Real Street, that one there. So
Okay. Very cool.
There's always some coming and going,
Yeah. Now you were saying the V10 stuff that, that's obviously stuff that you guys do. I noticed a whole bunch of different V10s as we walked around, so that's becoming a bigger deal for you guys?
It is, yeah, it is. We only take on projects that we feel like we have support through, through shops. And that way we could get the data and the information back, and then also what we feel we could scale and grow with. We don't want to do everything, right? It's not like a big block in LS, it's this. Yeah. We just want to concentrate on what we could really perfect, and it seemed like in the market, there's not that many good V10 engines out there. Builders, they're struggling with them, so I felt like we should probably try to get in there, see what we could do.
Nice.
So,
yeah, found a niche.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens, by the end of this year, we might have a better handle on them. So here's the assembly room. So this is where they all get, put together here. All get checked before final assembly.
I always love seeing the assembly room.
It's pretty neat, yeah. And what they all
it's always
look
a cool part of the shop.
Sure. We have all these peg boards here, so all the tools are here and hung up, so they're right in front of you, right? If one's not there, it's missing. You shouldn't need anything that's not there, to put one together. So.
Yeah, so you guys aren't really even using tool benches.
No toolboxes. No toolboxes.
Yeah, toolbox.
Yeah, everything's just in front of you. So that way you could see it, you know where it's at, you could put it back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Also, we have a little temperature differential from out in the shop to in here. Being in Florida, there's a huge swing, so all the bore gauges, all the mics, everything has to stay in here, and then even the parts have to be in here for about 4 hours before we could start measuring on them, to clearance them or whatever. So if something has to go back out there, it's a process because it's got to go out, come to temperature, get size, come back in, come back to temperature, before you could really start to measure on it accurately again,
And how much difference can, say, 20 degrees make?
Well, we see around like dead of summertime, we'll have a 4/10 difference. Wow. So we have a moving target. We use a My Shop Assist to track all the jobs through the shop, and AJ will call out, if we're working on a Coyote engine, he'll call out a particular main housing bore size for the bearings that we're using, right? Because the bearings all have different size wall thicknesses, so we'll say, okay, this is the target we're looking for, right? So when it comes in and he does his thing, it's fairly close, and that changes, throughout the temperature, that changes all the time. So, when it's close, it's not too bad, but if it's summertime, it's a swing. Yeah. For sure.
Well, even weeks like this week where the mornings are starting out chilly and then you're getting up closer to 70 by the afternoon. So.
Yeah, it's a thing, So we're working on getting AC out in the shop so that number could be a little closer, and that's not something we will have to deal with quite as much,
Gotcha.
So, the majority of the stuff going through the assembly room right now is Coyote stuff. So this is one that's all wrapped up, ready to ship out for Real Street. Yeah. We use these deck covers that'll get saran wrapped, get packaged up. We do that for shipping purposes. So to protect them some. Yeah. This is a Coyote that's getting size right now. So they're working on size and mains. Checking the main housing bore size. We have obviously printouts and build sheets for all of that, so everything's got a spot and a check. So this is a Gen 3 that you come around to the front side here. This is completely got all the timing on it now.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Yeah. This is a direct injection engine that's been, had the DIs blocked off. Okay. Full VCT lockout, so it no longer has VCT activation. So this one here will make 1700 to the tires
wow.
or so.
Wow,
You know?
yeah. Pretty stout.
Yeah, everyone in here will make big power. You
Yeah.
know? So we don't really work on anything that's not boosted, really.
Yeah.
You know, we've had plenty of calls to build, you know, some NA ones and whatnot, but it's not in our wheelhouse, you know. So we really just kind of stick with what we know, you know, so we could perfect it. Here's another one. This is another Gen 3 that's together. This is kind of the same scenario.
Yeah.
It's got the VCT lockouts on it, full timing in the front, you know, factory camshafts, you know, like we talked about. So that's long block. These are both getting ready to get dressed, you know, as far as the covers and front covers. This is a Code Red engine for Shelby America. We build these for Fat House Performance out of Indianapolis. Okay. Up there. Shelby contacted those guys and did 30 cars. So 1020s, 1021s, 1022s. All Shelby GT500s. And it's they did their twin turbo kit on it. Makes 1200 wheel horsepower. So nice. That's what these are. So we're the builder for those.
Very cool.
Yep.
Now, how did that deal kind of come about? Did they seek you guys out, or?
Well, we were building for Fat House. We built all of their 1200R, 1600R stuff, you know. So we really kind of validated that program with those guys, you know, and it worked. And you know, Shelby contacted Fat House, you know, to build that program, and you know, obviously here we are. You know, they needed an engine builder for it, and this is what we built them. So we went ahead and sleeved them so we could guarantee that the bores would be straight instead of that plasma bore, you know. We could, you know, guarantee the surface finish on it. We'll know they'll seal up. You could have a life, you know, and have that thing for your whole life, you know, and keep freshening them over time. So so that's really the only 5.2 liters that we build. Even when we build the big Coyote stuff, we sleeve them down to the smaller bore. So they're no longer 5.2s. This is the only engine that we do for, you know, that's a 5.2.
Gotcha.
For those guys.
Gotcha.
Yep. So part stuff, these are just jobs that are all getting ready to go through right now. These are some cylinder heads. This is Joey's area, where this is where all the cylinder heads get assembled here.
Okay.
Joey. Greg, Joey.
How's it going?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This is just parts, you know, rods, pistons. Like I said, we use all the same stuff over, you know, so we're able to inventory. And then we're able to validate them way ahead of time before we're actually needing to use them, you know, stuff like that. And then these are jobs just set up, you know. Jobs ready to go. Another Predator block. This is we don't build these very often. Usually are only in projects, but this is AJ's personal engine here.
Okay, cool.
So it's pretty.
Yeah,
you know, all the fit and finish on it, stuff. It's LS steel, but
very nice.
Kind of show you some of the workmanship, you know.
So Joe, how many full-time guys do you have in the shop? And then, you know, obviously you got guys who specialize out in the machine area versus guys who are in here doing the assembly work.
Yeah, we've got 8 guys total, full-time guys. We've got one part-time guy that comes after school, and then me and Gina, you know, are here. 2 guys constantly in the assembly room, always doing something, and the rest of us are out in the shop, you know. So I'm normally out in the machine shop, and then Gina runs the front office.
Nice.
You know, so yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. So like I said, a couple more that are ready to go. This is a short block for a Lamborghini. Crank rack, you know, so we try to hang all the cranks if we can there. And then this is just inventory. These are jobs that are, you know, short block jobs that are rods, pistons, cranks already balanced. The cranks are hanging up. Yeah. You know, some bearing inventory, crankshaft inventory, whatnot.
And then what's, you might have already said it, but what's kind of the breakdown between what you do on the short block stuff versus the long block?
Well, the short blocks, you know, we supply short blocks to wholesale, right? So we have a couple companies that buy our short blocks and stock them on the shelves. And when someone needs, you know, they've got a Mustang and they blow it up, they need an engine, you know, there's usually a lead time on it. So the short block program works pretty good because, you know, of that. The long block stuff comes in like when we have that Shelby program where we are building one for Fat House, you know, and they don't do the cylinder heads and bolt them on. So we'll do the long block at that point, you know. Okay. If it's one of our max effort ones, like you'll see in Brett's, you know, that kind of has to get done here. It's a copper head gasket in that car. We do some heating and recycling here at the shop, you know, so you don't have to dick with it in the car, you know. So, you know, it's a little more labor intensive. So, you know, just kind of depends what it is, you know. The V10 stuff, you have to build them. You have to long block them here. There's just too much, you know, going on it, you know, too many pieces. So,
sure.
Yep, too many pieces. So, yeah, just some more inventory. This is one that's done, getting ready to leave. A couple more blocks that are getting ready to go together. Yeah. This is an oil pump tester. So, a good friend of mine, Pat from iQuest. My buddy Pat, whenever I have an idea, I say, hey man, you know, what do you think about this? And this is what he comes up with, right? Yeah. So we have no way of validating or checking the oil pumps, right? They're crank driven. Nobody for that fact has a way of doing it. So we do now, you know? So we built this and it's got 5 different stages, so we could run it up for as long as we want, for as much time as we want. It'll give you pressure, volume, temperature, you know, all kinds of stuff. So
that's neat.
It works really good. Yep. It works.
Now, how long have you guys had that?
We've been working on that for probably the last 6 months, perfecting the program on it. Yeah. We're working on making now a sump for it with pickup tubes on it, so we could just change pumps. Yeah. You know, just kind of perfecting it a little bit more as we go. Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. Yeah. Some of the displays, this is a 2J display. This has been at SEMA and PRI a couple times. We did that with induction performance and diamond pistons. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to see the cylinders opened up there. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. See the water jackets. Yeah, we you know, we have a bunch of test blocks, you know, that we obviously cut up and machine and try to figure out how they're built, you know. So that was one of them, and we just kept going with it and turned it into a display, you know. Right, right. Very cool. So this is an example. We take this to the shows as well. This is a Gen 3 block. This is what we build those short blocks, you know, with. Yep. This engine's good to 17, you know, 1,750, 1,800 wheel horsepower. You know, we say 1,500, you know, is what we kind of tell everybody, but we've not broke one yet. It works fantastic. That's kind of the bread and butter of what we do here, you know, these days, you know. Right. So very cool. Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. So here we are, full circle. Yeah. So Joe, I wanted to ask, you know, what's something that you guys have kind of earmarked for the future of the shop? Maybe it's a piece of machinery, or maybe it's a dyno, or just something else that you guys are looking to do engine-wise. You know, what are some of those things you guys are looking to? I think just really concentrating on perfecting what we currently do. Mm-hmm. Trying to make every step of the way better, you know, trying to make the product better, and continue to develop the engines that we have, right? Yeah. You know, that's our main goal, you know, and that's how we're able to get better, you know, and be able to produce a better product. So if I had to say anything, I'd say that V10 stuff, you know, probably by the end of this year, we'll probably have a pretty good handle on it, you know, and I think we could probably have another conversation about how that's going. You know, No, I'd love to, you know, keep getting updates on how that's been going for you guys. Of course you will. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. So cool. Well, guys, again, appreciate you watching this tour of Fast Forward Race Engines. If you do have questions for Joe, kind of about what he's got going on here or about the shop, leave that stuff down in the comments and we'll make sure to pass that on. But again, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you're following what these guys are doing. And as always, make sure you're checking out enginebuildermag.com for more engine content. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.